Ash blanketed the ruins of Alaris like gray snow, coating broken spires and shattered machines in the memory of fire. Smoke curled through the skeletal remains of the city, rising in sluggish plumes toward a sky choked by dust and cloud. Once a beacon of human defiance, Alaris now whispered only defeat. The cries of its people had long since faded. All that remained was silence, punctuated by distant crackles of flame and the slow groan of metal collapsing under its own charred weight. Captain Celine Vero moved like a shadow through the wreckage, her black armor streaked with soot and blood. The ridges of her pauldrons gleamed faintly under the flickering fires, her long cloak torn and frayed by weeks of combat. Behind the mirrored visor of her helmet, her eyes remained locked forward, unwavering, unreadable. The few soldiers who followed her did so with the reverence given to myth. To them, she was the last bastion of order in the chaos, a weapon forged by vengeance and sharpened by loss. She didn't speak unless she had to. Orders came in clipped, efficient bursts: secure the south wall, sweep the east corridor. No survivors. It wasn't cruelty, it was necessity. In this war, hesitation meant death, and mercy was a currency no longer recognized by either side. Celine led her squad across a jagged street strewn with corpses, both human and alien. The Vorthri had struck hard and fast 3 days ago, breaching the city's outer defenses with impossible precision. The final stand had collapsed within hours. No reinforcements. No rescue. Just the dying gas of a dream that had burned too brightly for too long. A burst of static crackled in her ear. Captain, drone recon just went dark over Sector 9. Celine paused, eyes narrowing behind the visor. Sector 9 was supposed to be empty. Form up, she ordered, signaling her squad with a sharp gesture. Weapons live. Tight formation. We sweep it clean. They advanced through narrow corridors and scorched plazas, every step a dance with death. The city felt haunted, too still, too hollow, the kind of silence that carried a weight, as if the ruins themselves were holding their breath. Then the shadows moved. It was subtle at first, a glint of motion in Celine's periphery, the faint crunch of ash under an armored foot. She stopped, hand raised. Her soldiers froze. From the smoke, a figure emerged, tall, armored in silver-black plating with angular, alien designs that pulsed faintly with blue energy. A Vorthri elite. Alone, Celine's pulse didn't quicken. Her grip on her blade didn't tighten. She simply stepped forward. The Vorthri stopped a dozen paces away. Its helmet retracted with a hiss, revealing a face both fearsome and almost regal. Smooth gray skin, eyes like liquid mercury, and a crown of bioluminescent ridges arching over its skull. It studied her, curious. "You are not like the others," the alien said, its voice a rich, resonant baritone. "You don't run." Celine's voice, when it came, was quiet but sharp. "I don't need to." The Vorthri tilted its head. "You are the one they call the Ghost of Alaris." "I didn't choose the name." "No," it said, stepping closer. "But you earned it." She unsheathed her sword, sleek, black, edged with a volatile blue energy. The Vorthri extended a spear from its back, crackling with the same alien light. The silence shattered. They collided with the violence of two storms meeting, fluid, lethal, unrelenting. Blades sparked against metal. Fists met armor, each strike reverberating with purpose. Celine fought with cold precision, every movement honed from years of war. The Vorthri matched her effortlessly, its spear a blur of motion. Their surroundings crumbled under the fury of their duel. A statue toppled, crushing a forgotten hovercar. A shattered fountain burst open, water hissing into steam. Dust rose around them, obscuring everything but the two warriors locked in brutal rhythm. Finally, Celine landed a blow that sent the alien staggering back. Its shoulder plate cracked. She didn't press the advantage. Instead, she stepped away, breathing hard beneath her helmet. The Vorthri straightened, watching her. "I've waited a long time to face you," he said. "My name is Kalzir." Celine didn't offer hers. "I serve under High Lord Ven," he continued, testing his wounded arm. He spoke of a human who fought like lightning, a girl who wore a demon's face. I see now it wasn't just legend. She remained silent, but her posture shifted. Just slightly. Kalzir lowered his weapon. Why do you hide it? Celine's voice turned sharp. Because the truth means nothing in a world that's already decided who I am. Their eyes locked. A fragile moment balanced on the edge of something neither had words for. In the silence that followed, the fires burned louder, and the sky grumbled with distant thunder. Celine finally reached up, fingers brushing the latch on her helmet. You wouldn't understand, she said softly, unless I showed you. She removed the helmet. The hiss of decompression cut through the still air. Her long silver hair spilled free, gleaming against the grime. Her face, pale and angular, bore the faint trace of symmetrical markings beneath her eyes, subtle, glowing, unmistakably Vortari. A hybrid. Kalzir didn't speak. He just stared. Shock rippled across his face, and something else, recognition. The ruins around them felt suspended in time, as if the city itself were waiting for his response. Finally, he said only, impossible. But Celine knew better. The truth had never been impossible, only buried. In the distance, a low rumble echoed to the bones of the city. The war hadn't ended, but something had just changed. Kalzir's weapon lowered fully, not in defeat, but in revelation, and Celine didn't look away. The silence after her unmasking stretched in, taut as a drawn wire. Kalzir stood frozen, his weapon slack in one hand, as if the image before him defied all logic. Celine met his gaze with the stillness of someone who had waited her entire life for this moment. Not in anticipation, but in resignation. There was no triumph in her expression, no vindication, just the quiet fatigue of a truth too long carried alone. Your face, he said at last, voice rough. It bears the sigils of the first caste. Royal blood. Vortari. Not anymore, Celine answered. They burned that out of me the day my father was executed. Kalzir took a slow step forward, his mercury eyes scanning her features with almost reverent disbelief. Ven had a daughter. No, it was said he died without heir, that his bloodline was extinguished to prevent this. A child born of betrayal, Celine murmured, born of peace that was never meant to last. She turned from him, stepping over a beam collapsed into the rubble, her fingers brushing along the cold metal. My mother was human, a diplomat sent to Vorther during the ceasefire accords. They fell in love, as foolish people sometimes do in brief moments when the world pretends to be kind. Kalzir followed slowly, his weapon forgotten. The war outside still raged in distant echoes, but here, amid the cracked stone and smoke, a new front was forming. When the war resumed, she continued, my mother fled back to Earth, pregnant. The council declared me an abomination. My father refused to renounce me. That defiance cost him his head. She was never seen again. Celine crouched beside a fallen Vortari scout, closing its eyes with a silent touch. Her voice dropped. I was raised by shadows, watched by both sides, trusted by neither. I became a soldier because it was the only way I could survive. I wore the helmet to hide what I was, to become what they needed. You became more than that, Kalzir said. You became legend. A lie wrapped in armor, she replied, standing. But even legends bleed. For a long moment, Kalzir said nothing. His mind sifted through memories like fragments of broken glass, whispers of Ven's rebellion, stories hushed by the ruling caste. He had believed the myths, propaganda twisted to fit the council's narrative. Now those myths stood before him, breathing. You knew who I was before the fight, she said, watching him carefully. I knew something, he admitted. A presence. Familiar, unnerving. But not this. Celine nodded, unsurprised. It's why I challenged you alone. I needed to know if there was still reason left in your people. And now I wonder if you're the only one. Kalzir looked away, his gaze drifting to the burning horizon. You seek peace? After all this, I seek truth. Peace is just what happens when the lies fall apart. He considered her words. The idea seemed so far from everything he had been trained to believe. Yet the logic was there, carved in grief and worn by years of conflict. The war had consumed generations, and in the end had achieved nothing but ash. Celine stepped closer, her face now shadowed by the wreckage's jagged angles. "You served my father. Did you ever believe in him?" "I did," Kal-Zir said quietly. He spoke of unity, of balance. He believed the Vorthri were strongest not through purity, but through evolution. It made him dangerous. "Then maybe that belief can still be dangerous," she said, "but in a different way." Something flickered in his eyes. Not quite agreement, but not rejection either. A sudden explosion rolled through the ruins, sending a plume of flame into sky. Both warriors turned instinctively, weapons raised. The crackle of comms broke through Celine's earpiece, distorted but urgent. "Captain, multiple contacts. Sector 9 has been compromised. Repeat, enemy forces converging." "Fall back to the safe zone," Celine ordered, voice cold and sharp. "Do not engage." She cut the channel. The moment of fragile peace had shattered. "They've found us," she said. Kal-Zir nodded grimly. "They'll assume you've been taken. Your own command will not hesitate. They never have." The firelight threw dancing shadows across her bare face as she secured the helmet under one arm. She didn't put it back on. "Not yet. We need to move," she said. "There's a corridor beneath the central plaza, an old refugee passage. If we make it there, you'll be branded a traitor. I already am." He looked at her, this time with something close to respect. "Then I'll follow. For now." They slipped into the ruins, moving swiftly through crumbled cathedrals and data sanctuaries stripped for war. The city seemed to mourn their passage, each step stirring echoes of what once was. Kal-Zir broke the silence as they descended into the underground corridor. "Your people will not accept the truth. They will see your face and think only of the enemy." "They already do," Celine replied. "But if I can make them listen, if I can show them who I am, maybe it will change something." "You believe that's possible?" "I have to." The corridor narrowed, winding deeper beneath the earth. Old graffiti flickered on the walls, messages from long-dead refugees, pleas for mercy, names of children who never made it out. Here, even history whispered through decay. At a junction, they paused. Celine reached for a rusted panel, forcing it open to reveal an old communications relay. "What are you doing?" Kal-Zir asked, activating a signal. "Something my father left behind. A legacy he encoded into the Vorthri archive system before he died. I never had the access to unlock it until now." She keyed in a sequence. The screen flared to life, static giving way to an image, an old holographic projection of Ven himself, younger than Kal-Zir remembered. His voice, calm and resolute, filled the narrow space. "If you're hearing this," he said, "then the war has taken what little I had left. My child, you are more than either side ever deserved. You are the bridge, and if you choose to walk that path, you must do so knowing no one will thank you, but they may follow." The recording ended. Celine closed her eyes for a breath, then shut the panel. Kal-Zir looked at her, and this time there was no doubt in his expression. "You are his daughter. And that means nothing," she said, "unless I make it mean something." Boot steps echoed above them, enemy patrols. Celine and Kal-Zir moved on, deeper into dark, hunted by both armies. But something had changed. The mask was gone. The war had not ended, but something far more dangerous than peace had begun. Hope. The subterranean corridor seemed endless, a winding artery beneath a dying city. Each step Celine took echoed off the stone, accompanied only by the whisper of Kal-Zir's presence at her side. The quiet between them was intense. It was contemplative, like two war-weary ghosts wandering towards something neither fully understood. Dust hung thick in the stale air, disturbed only by the low hum of ancient machinery still clinging to function after decades of neglect. They moved without speaking, each lost in their own thoughts. For Celine, the replayed image of her father, young, idealistic, and already doomed, haunted her mind like a phantom. His voice had stirred something beneath the armor she built around herself, something older than rage, deeper than pain, a purpose she had long tried to bury beneath orders and obedience. For Kal-Zir, it was the realization that he had been serving a regime built on a lie. Ven had not failed in his ideals. He had been silenced before he could fulfill them. And now, that legacy walked beside him. Eventually, the tunnel opened into a vast underground chamber. Rows of empty bunk beds, flickering monitors, and rusted medical stations hinted at what this place had once been: a last refuge or a forgotten sanctuary. Celine moved toward the far wall, brushing away grime to reveal an old resistance map etched into the surface. Arrows, notes, circles around old power cores. All obsolete now. This used to be a command post, she said. My mother brought me here once when I was a child. We hid from both factions for months. Kalzir ran his fingers across a cracked console. And they never found you? They were too busy killing each other to look. The irony didn't escape either of them. Celine powered up one of the remaining consoles, its interface sluggish but still responsive. She keyed in coordinates, opening a secure uplink to a surveillance drone hovering far above the ruins. The screen flickered and resolved into a bird's-eye view of Alaris, burning, fractured, yet still resisting annihilation. Enemy movements were visible in red pulses. And now there was a new color, blue. Kalzir stepped forward. That's not human. That's Vorthree. Celine nodded. They've deployed a sentry spire, a surveillance weapon that scans all sentient life in a 3-kilometer radius. If I walk out there now, my genetics will mark me as Vorthree, and your own command will shoot you on sight. They'll think I defected. Kalzir's voice hardened. What do you plan to do? I need to speak to the Resistance Council, the remnants still hiding in Alaris' lower tiers. If I can get to them before the spire finishes its sweep, there's a chance they'll hear me out. He studied her. You don't ask for help. No, but you're going to. Celine's gaze didn't falter. I need you to make sure I get there alive. Kalzir didn't answer right away. The idea of protecting the daughter of a man executed for treason, and by extension, betraying his current command, should have felt like heresy. But nothing about this war made sense anymore. And Celine Viral was not just a soldier. She was a bridge to something beyond vengeance. I'll do it, he said finally. But if you fall, I finish the mission. Understood. They moved quickly, exiting the bunker through a maintenance shaft that spat them into the collapsed underbelly of the industrial sector. Here, the war had hit hardest. Entire blocks reduced to slag. Vines of exposed circuitry sparked erratically from severed conduits. Charred skeletons of exosuits lay crushed beneath buildings that had collapsed like paper. The stink of ozone, death, and scorched fuel was inescapable. They encountered resistance patrols, ragged humans in scavenged armor, weapons cobbled from old drone parts and Vorthree debris. Celine signaled a silent truce, but suspicion in their eyes was evident. Her uncovered face drew stares, confusion, even hostility. Some raised weapons. Others whispered, recognizing the contours of a myth. Still none fired. She led Kalzir through narrow alleys and shattered stairwells, every route chosen with surgical precision. Her knowledge of the city was unparalleled, born of childhood memories and military campaigns alike. But time was running short. The spire scan pattern grew tighter with every passing minute. Eventually, they reached the entrance to the old hydro core, a vast subterranean dome once used to power the lower city. Now, it served a different purpose. Dozens of resistance leaders had taken refuge there, coordinating strikes, managing dwindling supplies, trying to preserve some form of order amid collapse. Celine stepped into the open space with Kalzir at her side. The reaction was immediate. Guns were drawn. Alarms flared. Shouts erupted. A perimeter formed around them in seconds. Drop your weapons. Viral's compromised. She's got a Vorthree with her. Celine raised her voice above the chaos, sharp and commanding. Stand down. They didn't. A man stepped forward, grizzled, one eye replaced by a crude optical implant. Commander Rhys Gontar, last surviving senior officer of the Alaris Resistance. He pointed a rifle at her heart. You're supposed to be dead, he said. Instead, you walk in with the enemy like it's a negotiation. I didn't come to negotiate, Celine replied. I came to warn you. Warn us of what? That we're all traitors now. No, that the war is evolving, and we're still fighting like it's 50 years ago. Gontar spat. Save your speeches. We saw your genetics on the Spire scan. You're one of them. Celine stepped forward. I'm both, and that's exactly why I'm here. Kalzir remained still behind her, hands away from his weapon. I bled beside every soldier in this room, Celine continued. I've lost people I loved to both sides of this war, and now we stand on the edge of mutual extinction. The Vorthri leadership is fractured. Their grip is weakening. But if we keep fighting without vision, we'll all burn together. Ganner's expression was unreadable, but his grip on the rifle didn't tighten. You're asking us to trust you. I'm asking you to listen for 5 minutes. And if, at the end of that, you still want to shoot me, I won't stop you. A long silence followed. Then, slowly, Gontar lowered the weapon. You've got 5. Celine exhaled, controlled but relieved. Kalzir glanced at her, something passing between them. Respect, perhaps even the fragile beginnings of trust. As Celine stepped forward to address the council, the holograms around the hydrocore flickered to life, casting ghostly light across scarred faces. She looked into their eyes, not as a commander, not as a ghost, but as a living proof that the old path had failed. Outside, the Spire continued its sweep. Inside, the war waited to see if someone would dare rewrite the terms. And Celine began to speak. The council chamber, once used to regulate hydro distribution for 1 million citizens, now crackled with tension. Celine's voice echoed to the cavernous dome as she finished outlining the truth that had shaped her life and the vision she hoped might change theirs. Around her, faces hardened by loss and betrayal absorbed every word with wary silence. No one interrupted her, not out of respect, but because no one knew what to say. She didn't appeal to sentiment. There was no time for that. She gave them strategy, cold, clear, and adaptable. The Vorthri Council was splintering. The caste lords fought among themselves in secrecy, each vying to assert control over the Spire and its expanding influence. Kalzir confirmed it in whispers during their trek. Infighting, betrayals, assassination attempts hidden beneath the facade of unity. The great Vorthri Empire was beginning to consume itself. But even an empire in collapse could crush the resistance if left unchecked. We don't need to win the war, Celine said, concluding. We only need to change its meaning. Commander Gontar, who had spent a lifetime burying soldiers younger than he'd ever imagined possible, finally broke the silence. And how exactly do we do that, Captain? He asked. Tell stories? Hold hands with the enemy while they gut our cities. Celine met his gaze. We sow fracture where there is already weakness. We amplify division. And we offer a third path to those trapped between loyalty and survival. Kalzir stepped forward. Every weapon in the room shifted to meet him, but he ignored the threat. I was bred to serve the Vorthri caste hierarchy, he said, his voice low and steady. I followed orders. I believed in unity through domination, but I saw what they did to her father. I watched them erase truth to preserve power. I believed I was strong until I realized I was merely obedient. He let those words settle. There are others like me, warriors who no longer see honor in conquest, who fear not death, but the purposelessness of it. Give them a cause greater than survival, and they will come. It was an oath. It was a confession, and that made it far harder to ignore. The chamber murmured. Doubt still clung to many, but it had softened. Gontar folded his arms. You want to turn Vorthri against Vorthri, and hope we don't end up caught in the fire. Celine gave a small nod. I'm not asking you to trust him. I'm asking you to let me reach those who might listen before it's too late. And the Spire? We sabotage its core node, blind it. Without central coordination, it will collapse into rogue surveillance. Static. Gontar hesitated. Then finally, slowly, he gestured to the comms relay. You'll need a deep circuit map of the Tier 7 Nexus. It'll take an hour to pull the archive files. Celine nodded. Then let's start now. Night returned above ground, though it mattered little in the smog-choked atmosphere of Alaris. From the Spire's highest point, Counselor Drax observed the city with narrowed eyes. His caste markings shimmered beneath the biolight of the command bridge. Reports filtered in resistance movements resurging in unexpected sectors, patrols facing coordinated ambushes, encrypted signals disrupting relay chains. He tapped the interface before him, projecting a three-dimensional image of the battlefield. Patterns emerged. Not random strikes. This was strategy. Someone was guiding the resistance with precision far beyond what their scattered ranks had shown before. A name repeated across the intercepted transmissions. Celine Viral. Impossible, he had thought at first. The bloodline was extinct, yet the data was clear. A match confirmed by the Spire's initial scan, then corrupted before it could be distributed to the wider CAS network. Someone inside had blocked a full upload. He clenched a fist, then opened a comms link. Activate Inquisitor Unit 1. I want Celine Viral taken alive. If she speaks, even for a moment, she'll unravel everything we built. The response was immediate. Understood, Counselor. Back underground, the archive system's grown under the strain of decades-old firewalls and crumbling data caches. Celine and Kalzir sat across from one another near a portable power cell, each quietly preparing for what came next. You know they'll never stop hunting you now, Kalzir said, even if we take down the Spire. Celine gave a half-smile. I stopped pretending I could hide the moment I took off the helmet. He watched her a moment longer, something unreadable in his gaze. Your father was right about you. She said nothing, but her fingers tensed around the data pad. A signal chimed. The maps were ready. Gontar re-entered with a grim face. The node is located beneath the core atrium, but it's guarded heavily. No one's breached it in years. Celine stood. Then we'll breach it tonight. Kalzir rose with her. You'll need someone to distract the upper sentries. Celine's brow furrowed. You're volunteering to draw fire? I'm volunteering to finish what I started. Before anyone could answer, the chamber lights flickered, then cut completely. Darkness. A second later, emergency backups bathed the room in crimson. Alarms wailed. They found us, Gontar hissed, already raising his weapon. Celine scanned the interface. Multiple signatures. They bypassed the outer scanners. Stealth units. Inquisitors, Kalzir said tightly. Elite CAS enforcers. Fast. Merciless. They're not here to capture. They're here to erase. Gunfire exploded in the corridor beyond. Celine's voice rang out. Secure the archive. Get the data to the fallback point. Gontar barked orders, scattering his people into defense formations, but the attack was already inside. Figures in black armor, limbs elongated by exoskeletal grafts, moved like phantoms through the darkness. The first resistance soldier dropped with a gurgled scream, his chest shredded by a plasma blade. Celine drew her rifle, firing 3 precise rounds. One Inquisitor staggered, sparks spitting from its helm, before another replaced it instantly. Exit tunnel, she shouted to Kalzir. Go now. They fought their way out, down twisting service shafts and half-collapsed corridors. Celine moved with surgical precision, her familiarity with the terrain saving them from certain death more than once. Kalzir fought like a dying star, every strike efficient, brutal, final. By the time they reached the fallback point, an old monorail maintenance hub, only a handful of soldiers remained. Gontar, wounded, was dragged in by 2 medics. Did you get the data? Celine asked. He nodded weakly, blood running down his side. It's all here. Spire layouts, node configurations, access override protocols. She took the drive, slipping it into her suit. Then we still have a chance. From the shadows beyond, the hum of pursuit grew louder. Kalzir turned to her. There's no more hiding. The final move has begun. Celine looked back at him. Her face unmasked, her heritage exposed, her purpose clear. Then let's finish this. Above them, the spire pulsed like a second sun, casting its cold, silver light across the ruins. Below, the daughter of 2 worlds prepared to bring it down.